Okay, so what I would like to do is show you. I just want to share my screen for a few minutes and just show you some of my blossoms and just kind of where we want to go with this. Okay, and here we go. I can get it over there. Okay, here we go. Can you see that? Oh,
Nope.
Not yet.
yes?
Not yet.
Okay, what did I do? Okay. Oh, sure. Okay, here we go. Can you see now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. So here's one of my favorite ones, and I didn't meet him, but I met him online. A wonderful photographer named Clay Perry, who photographed David Austin's roses, and he was the main photographer for many of David Austin's books. And I approached Clay Perry and asked if I could purchase the rights to do a painting from one of his photographs. And he's in his 80s and he didn't really care that it was in a book. So he let me send him a bunch of money and I was able to paint this. And this is one of his most amazing compositions. And I just wanted to keep that in mind today, composition and how we put together what makes us excited about painting. And Linda was the one that kind of twigged me to that. She's just finishing a course with Ian Roberts on composition, and it just made me remember where I started with composition. I got my first camera when I was 6 years old. It was a Brownie and it was brown and it was a little rectangular camera. My dad was a professional photographer, very, very talented with light and portraits. And he told me about the rule of thirds. And he drew a rectangle and he drew lines up and down and just broke it up into thirds that way and then broke it up horizontally. And he said, wherever the lines intersect is where you can put your center point of interest. And so, of course, the cat, it was all about my ginger cat. My cat was in the up top 1/3, the lower 1/3, the 1/3 to the left, and then the other third. I wasn't allowed to put the cat in the middle. So that was my start of classical composition. And I've always been very particular about how I crop a picture. So one of the things I love about blossoms is I will pack them together so that they give you a feeling of expansion. And there is a little bit of space around them, negative space, but they're mostly sort of packed in center point of interest, maybe a little more off to the left where the rose is, right down here. I want to show you a couple more. Here we go. So this is another photograph that I purchased from Clay Perry. And again, I'm not putting a flower right in the middle of the page with a ton of space around it. I am asking them to be joyful, to stand up, to say something, to, jump out at you and share their joy. And, I kind of feel there is a feeling of this in the way that I crop my paintings. And here's another one. This one is my blue Himalayan poppies. This is kind of the start of it. And I think I've got the finish of it here too. There we go. So there's movement throughout it. You kind of say, okay, where is the center point of interest? Well, actually not quite sure, but your eye does travel through and it doesn't sort of hover anywhere. So what I wouldn't do if I was doing a flower is put it smack in the middle. It's like having a bullseye. It's like playing darts. Okay, your eye goes there and it's going to stay there. I also wouldn't put the most exciting things kind of going out on your corners because that will draw your eye out. And here's one I started to. This is my really large one that I did of petals. And there is this beautiful curve that kind of goes through the whole thing, and kind of see it here. And there is a center point of interest in it eventually. Okay, so I want to go to ours. Here's edit. There we go. Okay, so let's just have a quick look at this one, and then I'm going to start painting. So this was taken from iStock, and I don't grow my own flowers like Carrie does. And so I do go on to Adobe Stock and iStock, and I purchase them. And I do honor the photography rights. I do pay for them so that artists do get their due for taking these beautiful photographs. So this one was really long, and there was a lot more space around it here. So what I did is have, if you can see my cursor, almost this little piece touching, but not quite. So it creates a little bit of tension because it doesn't quite touch. Beautiful negative space around here, and then a different negative space to the right and a different one below. So if you look at this big space here below, these little ones here and this one here, they're all different. So when I'm putting together petal portraits, I make sure my negative spaces are all different sizes. I also choose something where the petals are different shapes. So beautiful shape here, very soft shape here, and then, oh, this cool little angular shape with a ruffle here. And then it attaches behind to this little piece of leaf, as opposed to just being freestanding right in the middle. I also tend to do my flowers not high key, which is all, with white backgrounds, more of a darker key, light key. So this will be really fun. I'm going to show you kind of how I do my backgrounds when you see something that looks just black, how you can make it really interesting. And the color that you see in the poppy will be based on the time of day. It could be that this photographer lit it, brought some lights outside. I'm not quite sure, but it looks to me more like pure sunlight. And then, there was something shadowy in the back. So it's determined by the time of day. It's determined by the season, the weather conditions, and all the colors that are surrounding it will determine the color that you actually see. That affects your subject. And I do want to read you something from Henry Matisse. There's nothing more difficult for a truly creative painter than to paint a rose, because before he can do so, he has to first forget all the roses that were ever painted. And I am choosing a Himalayan poppy because probably most of you haven't painted one, and it's unusual. So you're not going to pull out of your head a Himalayan poppy that you've painted. So hopefully this will be a little bit unique. Okay, I'm just going to get rid of those, stop sharing, and here we go. Okay, any questions? Good. Okay, so I'm going to start. I did do a little start last night. just going to set up my phone here again. I didn't think that you needed to watch me paint purple for 5 minutes in the background. Or, just some of these other little colors that, it just saved 20 minutes for our demo. So I can do a little bit more of something else for you. So I'm going to spotlight me. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay, it's a little bit. There we go. So there, I want you to be able to see my palette, how I lay it out. And again, I'm just going to quickly go over it. So what I do is light to dark in my lights. So my light yellow, my Indian yellow, my orange, my my rose, or my opera pink, because I do use a lot of pinks. My magenta is over on the side because it crosses over to the lights and to the shadows. It's a color you can use in shadow or you can use in light. And then over here, I have my dioxazine purple and 4 blues. You might only have 3 blues, and that's fine. Ultramarine, darkest, coolest, truest blue. This is your blue. That is your primary blue. So if I was teaching art to kids and I only had 3 colors, ultramarine would be the blue I would choose to mix with yellow and red to make all the other colors. Cobalt, slightly warmer. Sort of in between cerulean and ultramarine. Then we go to cerulean, which is a little warmer, has a bit of, almost seems like has a bit of yellow and white in it. Very, very opaque. And then to manganese, which is slightly more into the turquoise. And I love to add manganese, especially doing something like these poppies, because they have a lot of different blues in them. And then my white goes through the middle. And I was painting last night, so this is kind of what my palette looks like. So just a reminder, all stage 1 is doing your lights with these light colors and doing your shadows with these shadow colors. And all you have to do is be able to figure out what's in light and what's in shadow. And if you can't figure it out, then you do it magenta. Okay, just moving this over here. So does everyone have the blue poppy up on their screen? Okay, I would imagine you do. So I'm just going to show you what I have started with. And I'm just going to go a little closer. Okay, so we have a lot of blue in light, like lots of it in light. So the ones that were really, really whitish, I did yellow first as the first color. So yellow through here, yellow through here. Now it got a little bit darker, the light that was on the blue. So I put pink down as my first color. And I know Darlene and I have had a few conversations with that.
Yeah.
Linda, and it kind of messes with your brain. But I'm just going to ask you just to believe. And then when you paint this with the pink underneath, you'll see that the blue will glow. If we put exactly what we saw, we pre-mixed it here, put it up onto our painting, you would have what we call local color. And local color is quite beautiful, and there's lots of people that paint it and they just have stunning paintings. But what we're trying to do is learn to see color deeper, differently. We want to see the full spectrum of color, not just local color. So we're going beyond. So this beautiful petal was a little darker. The light was a little bit darker on the blue, so that's why I chose pink. If it's brighter, lighter, almost washed out, I always go with kind of a pale yellow. And you can see that I varied my pink a little bit as I went through here. And I had some yellow or some light coming through the leaf over on this right side. So you could do it Indian yellow. I saw that on your color chart, some of you said Indian yellow. That's fine too. I did do, I believe I did pale orange down in through here, or Indian yellow, I can't remember. And Indian yellow through the middle. This is going to be kind of the star of your show. So pretty much pure Indian yellow, lemon yellow straight, and then lemon yellow with some white. And then this is basically orange through here. Even though there is some in shadow, I will eventually do that in other color. So any questions right now? And Carrie, just for you, because you haven't, what we've done, because we're working in oils, if we flipped the arrangement of rather than starting with dark and going to light, we're starting with our lightest so that we don't bleed into our colors. And that's why I start with my pale yellow, pale pink, into oranges, etc., before I go into my darks, as I don't want to mess up those beautiful light colors. Okay, so, I'm asking for your help now. So I'm gonna, come on, you guys, come on over. All right, so it's small, so it's gonna be a little bit harder to see, but I'm ready to work with magenta. And I've done all my yellows, I've done my oranges, I've done all my light except for magenta. So I'm just going to ask Natasha, I know, I'm just remembering from your color chart, you had some really neat areas with magenta. Is there anything around in here that you would do magenta? Right down, this beautiful focal point.
Um,
He's not a sign.
Oh, Simon's got paint on him?
Yep. Right there.
Oh, just a sec. Pull it out, okay? Sorry, my cat went through my painting. Okay, so what?
Diane,
Yeah.
can I put magenta at the points where the blue flower shifted from the light to the shadow, and it was this like I couldn't quite tell if it was actually shadow or light. That's what my answer is.
Beautiful. Okay, really nice. I have got, yeah, that's a really good answer. I've got orange stamens in shadow. So I've got orange in shadow. So I am going to paint magenta right where these orange stamens are in shadow. And just trying to get the right value. There we go. And I also have some orange stamens in shadow down here. So I'm almost thinking I should just go close so you guys can see. And I'm just pretty much using pure magenta with just a little tiny bit of white. And Natasha is correct. Whenever you're not sure and it's in half light, half shadow, it's really great to do it magenta. And that was Susan Sarback's gift. I know I said that in the last course, was magenta. Nowhere does Henchy or Hawthorne mention using magenta in shadow and in light. So this is in shadow, this is in shadow. We've got some beautiful magenta coming through. And then I've got some orange right down in the back here, just kind of where this beautiful part connects to the base. And I'm going to also do that magenta, but it is a little bit lighter. So again, it's in shadow. Okay. Okay, so that. And. Okay, let's go into our blues, because those are the ones that are most interesting. So, right, let's actually just paint the blue that we see, because I'm trying to make this easy for you, or trying to have you kind of follow how I might think it through. So why don't we start with my darkest blue? I put the purple in. Question, Linda?
Yeah, I'm just wondering on the back of the stamen there and where you put the lightest magenta,
Yeah.
right? I actually saw that as more of a magnesium blue because of more in shadow. Now, did you do the pink or the magenta because of the reflection off of the orange surrounding it?
I actually see orange here. This
Okay.
little piece, in my photograph, I actually see orange because I think it's still part of those stamens. So that's why I've gone magenta.
Okay.
And when I squint, it's lighter than this. So here we are, hawthorn, pulling it apart, seeing little notes of color. I just see it as color. I'm not thinking stamen, I'm not thinking blue poppy, but what I do see around it is blue. I do see blue all around it, Darlene.
Okay.
So yeah, that's just how I'm seeing it. Okay. I kind of feel like I lost my train of thought. The cat got
I'm sorry.
and then the husband cleaned the cat litter box. So sorry. Okay, I'm gonna start again. We've done all our lights. We've gone from light to dark. Now we're starting with shadow colors. We've done our purple. And now I'm going to go to ultramarine blue. And I'm just going to put it in right over here on the side and with a little bit of white. And make sure I get the value correct. What I noticed when you color coded your drawings was that everybody was a little bit different. So you do not have to paint exactly as I am doing. What else could you put here instead of ultramarine blue? You could put violet if you wanted to. Normally, I don't start with green if I have an all green leaf. What I normally do is I start with either a blue or a violet, and then I go into the green as the next layer. What, David? What happens is the green is so powerful, it's really hard to make it actually look like a painting without the green jumping out at you. David, could you just leave it now? Cool. Sorry, we're having a little wrestle with the cat wrangling. And I'm going to do this really dark green ultramarine blue. I did notice that a lot of you did use green, and I said that we're allowed to use green. One of the things that Susan did, because she did a lot of landscapes, was use all her blues and violets, and then use her green as second color. So there's my ultramarine blue in through here. And what I'm going to do, just to make it simple, is use the ultramarine blue throughout now. And rather than ask you, I'm just going to go over here because here's a really nice dark blue. I'm going to just fill it in. These are, there we go. Okay. And if I squint, is that too dark? What do you guys think?
A little bit. In my opinion.
I think it's dark, but maybe you could just fix that up in stage 2 and just let it be to bring that nuance in.
Yeah. There we go. Okay, and I actually did ultramarine up here too, and your choice for up here could have been even manganese, it could be cobalt, could be cerulean. This is a tough one to see. I chose ultramarine just because there was so much dark in the one shadow. It's going to switch brushes here. I'm being a little mindful not to go too close to that purple. And did I have any other? I think that was it for ultramarine. Okay, there we go. And so I'm going to go to my next blue, which is cobalt. And I'm just looking for places to do cobalt. And this was the first one that I picked. This is kind of my darkest. And Linda, you had said it was really hard to simplify the shapes. And it is. You've got to squint a lot. Squint and move your head back and forth like we were doing in the other courses. And Carrie, that's just going back to your painting and then to your photograph and just moving your head back, forth, until you catch the mass and the value of it and the color of it. So there we go. So there was my cobalt blue. And this one I'm going to also make cobalt blue. What I'm trying to do is very subtly pull apart the petals with the different blues that I have. This is in shadow, so it works really well as cobalt. And it is maybe slightly lighter than that one. I'm not quite sure. They're very, very close together. And I'm also going to, I'm on a roll with my cobalt, just going to come down here and put this one in too. Again, this one could be a totally different blue, and it would depend on your screen. My screen, my Photoshop screen tends to make things a little bit warmer and deeper and richer in color. And if you had printed this out, it would be totally different too as a hard copy. You probably won't see as much differences in the blues. Okay, let's just go to the back here, to this little piece here. Any thoughts on blues? It's a little bit warmer.
Cerulean?
Yeah, and if you look at it, if you look at this part, it looks manganese. If you look at this part, it looks ultramarine. This part might be cobalt, and this part really looks like cerulean. So what do you do? So what you do is you squint and you say, okay, I think it feels more warm than it feels cool. So going to cerulean is good. And stage one is kind of meant to just be an intermediate stage, to get to the real painting that Hawthorne and Henchy talk about. They don't have this first stage. This is a stage that Susan gave us. And this is just really to help us pull apart the masses and really see them. So Linda, when you were doing your drawing, I could see your beautiful drawer, by the way. It was, yeah, what do you do with this? And the only thing I can say is try to make it into a coloring book. For
Right. Yeah, that helped when you said that. I tried to get too detailed instead of actually just seeing the big shapes. I mean, my picture is just like,
it's beautiful. It's a beautiful.
it's a mess though, because I can't.
It really is. It's a lovely charcoal drawing. Okay, cerulean. So just because these are just so picky, I see cerulean over here, a little piece here. And again, this is about simplifying. So even though this looks like a really, really simple flower to paint, there are a lot of neat things we're going to learn with it. And the first one is simplification. So I did a cerulean through there, and it looks like, Darlene, how's my value? Is that too dark? This right through here.
Yeah,
I think it's too dark, isn't it?
it is, yeah, there's a little light coming on there.
Yeah. So one of the things that Susan Sarback always said, the light is your teacher. So when you get a photograph, you have to trust it and follow it because it will lead you through. And you will find that there'll be times where it just doesn't make sense. And then what you can do is turn your painting upside down, your picture upside down, and just paint the light that you see, the color that's revealed through the light. It's nothing more than that. And I have done that many times with horses, with their legs, with their nostrils. And I have just thought, okay, oh, look, it's just a little piece of color against another piece of color. Oh, how cool is that? And then turned it right side up. And then voila, you have this beautiful nostril or these beautiful legs. So we're not actually painting a poppy. We're painting little bits of color, little spots of color that come together. And we're learning to see color in a deeper way by doing this. Okay, so just kind of going through cerulean. I might do cerulean right down here. Because if I look at this leaf, it's warmer. And it's a little lighter green. Since I've decided not to use green. You can if you wish, and you can see what happens. But I tend not to. And also got a little bit of a warmer one right through here. So I could do it cobalt. I think I'll just do it cerulean. And one of the reasons I get you to think about your colors and put them, little color coding into each mass is so that we don't get, say, two magentas side by side. So we can actually have enough colors left over that we can pull them apart even more. The idea is to use all of your colors that you have down here as best you can in stage one to pull your masses apart.
Excuse me, Diane, up on the top petal where the ultramarine blue is, up top, up there, yeah. And then right beside it, you put a cerulean with a lot of white. I believe. I saw that as in photo light. So I went to a light yellow in there.
I've got light yellow
Yeah.
all through here, darling. Yeah,
Okay, but did you not put some blue?
I did. I did. There's, you could have done this all in yellow. There's just a tiny bit, there's a little bit of blue that comes through here, through the
Okay.
bottom. And then I just took it along the edge. It's so little that you can just, I think just doing the yellow would be fine. And I missed a little spot of yellow. There we go.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
because, yeah, you can just blend her back once it's in stage 2 anyways,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely, yeah. Again, I think Helen, you simplified this really, really well. I like what you did. It was super, super simple. I've got a few little blue spaces in through here, and I'm seeing a very warm blue through here, which is cerulean. So I'm just gonna pop that in, warm and a little bit lighter. And then this little one that wiggles underneath here will probably be this same color, which is cobalt. So I'm just going to through there. And this is why I kind of started it last night, because it's really, really fussy. And you don't need to watch me do little antics with my brushes. There we go. All right, I'm still in my blues, and I have got a super, super warm blue here. I just need to finish that one, so I'll just quickly put cobalt in, because if I look at the blue beside it and want to pull it apart, it feels like it needs to be a little bit cooler than the cerulean that surrounds it and darker. Now we go into some really interesting warm blues around the outside. And this is where Natasha said some of those pieces that look like they're half light, half shadow, she did magenta, which is absolutely correct. And if you put blue on top of it, it will be beautiful. But I'm going to go to my manganese blue, which is almost like a turquoise blue. And I'm just going to put in manganese here. So when you're doing puddles that are kind of one color, so one color being this one is a lot of blue, it really helps to pull out all your blues that you have. Just makes it a little bit easier. So I am going to do manganese through here. And it is so, okay, here's another one. I'm thinking of you, Darlene, because you're really sharp with your eyes. You know, there's a dark here, and then there's some light. If you look at the photograph, there's like a number 5 value, then there's a number 3, and then kind of like a 4. So again, you need to squint and decide what it's going to be. So I'm just going to make the manganese slightly darker, because when I squint and look at the whole mass, as opposed to all the little pieces, it does look a little bit darker. And this one could be cooler too. This one could have a little bit of ultramarine in it, but I will adjust that in stage 2. You know what? It actually looks still too light. So I'm going to do it right now. And sometimes if you have a really dark area, you have to go in with, even though it's warm, you have to go in there. How's that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that works. Okay, now I've got this beautiful little edge that's in half light, half shadow. And for me doing my florals, I would probably, if I squint, I see more dark than light. And I will probably do it again I kind of feel like I want to start it with manganese just because it's got so much turquoise in it. So I'm going to do manganese and try not to get dioxazine purple in this. So you acrylic painters have an advantage. Get all this messy stuff. There we go. And then I've got a little piece in through here. And again, it feels warm and it feels cool and it feels like it's in half light and half shadow. So there are a lot of choices and I'm going to make it really simple. I'm just going to continue my manganese just because I'm using it. And I could have used a lot of different colors. Ultramarine would have been fine. Magenta would have been fine. And what have I got left? I've got a big piece up here, which actually is in light. And I've got a piece in here that is in light. And so is this one. So maybe I will go back to magenta. And because it's in half light, half shadow, and it's a little darker than the pink, this light, I will choose magenta. And I have no idea if this makes any sense at all. Carrie, is this like kind of, is this making any sense?
I'm just in awe, so I'm just following, and I have the photo right next to the screen, so I keep going back and forth to see what you're seeing, so I'm doing my best to follow along.
Thank you. It's not an easy one. I thought, oh, okay, this, look at these beautiful shadows. Look at this beautiful light. This should be a great one as a teaching tool, but it is a little bit harder. Sorry, just added a little bit of white there for that. Okay, so again, I chose magenta here. This is blue in light. My choices are yellow, pink, orange, or magenta. I chose magenta because the light is a little darker in this area as it is up in here. And I didn't get it quite right, the value. So I'm just going to go over it and put it there. So magenta is such an awesome tool. So if in doubt, paint it magenta, and believe me, it will turn out. Okay, so I've got I've got a beautiful blue in here. I haven't finished. So I'm just looking at it and I'm actually just going to use my cerulean. I'm sorry, the cats are a little wild this morning. We go out hunting together every day. Thomas is on a leash and Simon kind of trots beside David like a dog. And we go hunting for mice every day and we get them. It's laughing. Okay, now this piece. Tell me what colors you used here. I want to know. Let me see. Helen, what did you use right here? This beautiful
I
little.
guess I had cerulean only because some of the light looked like it was coming through on it, but
Okay. Darlene, what did you use here?
Yeah, I went magenta or manganese.
Okay, good. And Natasha.
I had cobalt blue because I don't have cerulean in the tube, but if I did, I would have used cerulean.
Okay, awesome. And Carrie, I know you haven't color coded before. What would your choice be? It's okay if you can't, don't worry.
Oh, wait, sorry, I was on mute. I'm studying the photo and I see a
Yeah.
lot of warmth and I see like some yellows and maybe I would do the magenta. I don't know.
Okay, great. You see some yellows. Awesome. Linda, what was your choice?
My choice was Indian yellow, but I realize that that's a light color, not a shadow color, so I'd probably use magenta. I mean, not, well, either magenta or
Manganese?
manganese blue, yeah.
Excellent. So yes, there is some yellow light, there's some Indian light, there's some almost looks like cerulean blue here. The whole thing has a green tinge to it in my eye. That's what I'm seeing.
Mhm.
And one of the colors I will use in stage 1, that's a green, is Viridian. So I am actually going to put some Viridian in here. Okay, I just want you to see how blue-green the Viridian is. This is an amazing color. Susan Sarbat uses it sometimes in the very bottom of the horizon line of a landscape. So usually what we see is we see cerulean at the very bottom, and then it goes into cobalt and into ultramarine. But quite often we'll see Viridian. Is that Viridian? Hang on. It looks like turquoise to me. I'm just going to put it out again. Oh, you know what? I put out turquoise. Okay. I'll be Viridian. Example. Give me one sec. It's going, wow, is that is green? So that was turquoise, and turquoise is really fun to have. Okay, I'll show you Viridian. There we go.
So is turquoise a warm color?
Yes, very warm. So here's the difference between the two. Oops, there's Viridian, there's turquoise. Turquoise is a bit bluer, a little bit cooler. Viridian is such a beautiful, cool green. Well, cool and warm. I'm not really sure what to say. So let me just go and put a layer of that over top.
If you don't have turquoise, would a teal work there?
Yes, yes, definitely. Okay.
So would you use that color in another spot? Seems it's a completely different color than anything you have on that flower.
If I have use for it, I think this is the only place that I was thinking of using it was right there.
Okay.
Yeah, but you could. Oh, hang on. You know, it does go kind of green up through here. So thank you, Linda. Let's just go up here. It's a little darker. So I'll use it as a darker value and just put it in. And then what have I got up here? I've got my blues up here, and I'm just gonna go in and do cobalt. And just put that in there, just so we're different. It's kind of like putting together a beautiful jigsaw puzzle of color. That's kind of how I look at it. All right, so I have got two little things. I've got the stem, and I've got this little piece out here. So let's look at the stem. I think I got some really good greens for most of you. Now that we've talked about color in this way, what color might you do the stem? So what am I seeing? I'm seeing, and this is crazy. So I'm seeing light green, medium green, dark cool green, almost purple at the bottom. So we have to go, okay, what are we going to make that stem? We could do it, you know, a really ultramarine blue. We could do a cobalt blue. I wouldn't do it cerulean because then it will tag too much into these two blues here. We could do it Viridian. But I'm just gonna throw one more option out there. We can also make it violet, even though you don't have a violet out of the two, we can make it violet. So I'm actually going to do it violet because that was the color I was thinking of. So I'm just going to mix a little bit of magenta and my beautiful purple. And I'm just going to put it in as violet. Tiny bit of white. You can see it. The one thing I probably wouldn't do is make this green. It's a line. It might be too prominent. If you make it green in the beginning, you're gonna have a hard time getting it to be a little more subtle. There we go. And last little piece here. Now, I'm just gonna quickly ask all of you. You can just kind of, I'll just have a little list of you guys here. Helen, what would you put here?
I guess I had manganese.
Hey, that's a good choice. Linda?
Cerulean, because it's a bit warmer.
Okay. Darlene?
Yeah, I went the other way. I went Indian yellow on that.
Okay. Natasha?
Magenta.
Awesome. Carrie?
I'd go Indian yellow too.
Okay, so I had Indian yellow to start with, and then violet, and magenta. So I didn't go into a blue because it felt like it was kind of more in light or half light. So, honestly, just about all those choices would be fine. And I think I've got a little bit of a dirty brush in my violet. So I'm going to go in with Indian yellow and a little bit of dirty brush in the violet. And there we go. I did want to separate it from this one because the light was so different. If it was my Susan Sarbach and you were in her course, she would have made it one mask. She would have said, okay, I see it all in light. Let's make it all Indian yellow. Because if you look at it and squint, it's more in light. But this is one of the things that I have added is breaking it down one more step so that it's a little bit easier to pull apart the masses. Oh, I've still got this little one right here. And now, do you see this in light or in shadow? This little piece that comes off. Is it in
Shadow.
light?
Shadow.
Yeah, shadow. Light coming through shadow. So is it a warm blue or a cool blue?
Warm.
Really warm. Yeah. So let's go all the way to manganese then. Let's go our warmest blue.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, I don't know how many masses are in there, but there's a lot. And this is much more simple than most flower paintings, but pulling it apart like this will really show you the variations, like we talked about, little spots of color against each other, pulling it apart so you can see it. Some people do less with the 4-step method. I tend to do more because it helps me pull them apart so I don't mush them all together in, stage 3 or 2. Questions?
On your background, you said you used a purple?
I use dioxazine purple, yes.
Okay. Because
And yes, go ahead.
it can be quite overpowering. Did you tone it with something or?
No, I just use pure straight out of the tube.
Okay.
Took like 7 minutes to paint all around it.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
what I'm gonna do in our stage 2 is I'm gonna show you how to play with each negative space and
Okay,
make it more interesting.
right.
Any other questions?
Well, I just have a question on the bottom piece where it's Indian yellow.
Yeah.
Because like I see those colors, but to me, it's still in shadow. It's not in light, it's in shadow. And so I'm just confused. I'm just confused about that section.
That's a really good question, Linda, and you're absolutely right. If it was Susan Sarback, she would have painted it, well, that's hard to say. She probably would have painted it magenta. So I see this in light and this in half light and half shadow. So really what I should have done is painted this magenta. Do you see this in shadow too?
I see it more in shadow than I do light. Well, especially at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There we go.
But would you not correct that in stage 2?
Yep. Mhm.
Yeah.
okay.
So
Yeah.
you could leave it as an Indian yellow and then correct stage 2.
Yeah, yeah, the warm and the cool. So stage 1 is a guideline. It really is, as long as you get your values correct and you get most of your lights where they're supposed to be and most of your shadows where they're supposed to be, you're good to go. Does not have to be perfect. And what I'm trying to show you by everyone coming in and saying, oh, I would do it this color or this color, is that there's lots of choices. And I saw that with your color coding when it came in. I went, oh, how interesting. Oh, yeah, that's great. And what I want this to do is to stretch everybody. So, Linda saw this, the whole thing in shadow. I see some of it in light, and we have to decide, is it in light or shadow? Yeah, and that's how I see it. That's how Linda sees it, and how Darlene sees it will be different.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's all about our color acuity and what we're seeing at the moment. And you know what? Tomorrow, I might have seen this all in shadow. Today, I see it mostly in light.
And then you just
I hope that
adjust.
doesn't confuse
Yeah,
you.
you just adjust as needed after that into stage 2.
Yeah, and that's why the stage 2 is so important. Probably your most important stage is stage 2.
Mhm.
Building the building blocks in stage 1 is, first of all, a good composition, right, Linda? Got to have
Yeah.
a dynamic composition.
Yeah.
Then break apart the masses so you can actually see them. And when you break apart the masses, something magical happens. You see all these gorgeous shapes. And it's almost like this is the contemporary painting, the way it is, just in stage 1. Beautiful shapes. And then pulling apart the shapes with the color, little color note against a little color note, you start to see differently than if you're painting a whole flower. It is a very different way of painting. And I know, Linda and Darlene, you've had a ton of courses with some excellent painters. And you've seen so many different ways of starting. This is a totally different way of teaching you to see the color nuances. I think you're going to be able to see more when you finish this course by going through these stages.
For sure.
I just have a question about the stages. So we've done stage 1, and is it best to do stage 2 while the paint is wet? Or is it easier when it's dry? It's better
Yes.
when it's wet. Okay.
Yes, in oil paint, try to get to some of your stage 3 if you can while it's wet. And then I'll just show you what I've been working on. This one, we're going to be doing a little part of this for our next one. This one I did stage 1, stage 2, wet on wet, a little bit of stage 3. And then it just got greasy, mucky, ucky. And then what I did is I waited, about a week and a half. And then I just went in and dry brushed. And I do want to show you some of that, those of you with oil. And I know dry brushing works fantastic with acrylic.
Mhm.
But that's kind of the way I do it. When I do a really, really big one, what I will do is I'll work pretty much one petal at a time. Like that really huge one that I showed you. I'll just show you this one over here. This one I actually started for this demo. Let's see if you can see it. There we go. And I basically worked, I did the background so I could really see my negative shapes. And then I started light to dark on different petals, like just different individual petals, and kind of did it. Okay, I'm going to finish these one and took it to part of a stage 3 and then finished with dry brushing, stage 4. And I'll just show you this one in my bedroom. Same with this one. And this one was kind of a meditation. Can you guys see it?
Yeah.
Did I do it? I'm not sure if I lost you or not. Anyways, here we go. Okay.
Knowing your process, I mean, it must be overwhelming when you look at one of those huge paintings that you do. I see why you do one petal at or one flower at a time, because that would just, I wouldn't be able to do that, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, how do you go large? You know, how
Yeah.
do you go large? Well, if you can paint for 8 hours a day, you could do, stage 1 everywhere, but I can't. And I was, had some health issues. So when I had gotten bucked off my brand new little unicorn, and I had 6 weeks there, I couldn't move. And so I started painting flowers. That was his gift to me.
Oh.
You've got to find something to do. So I started
Well,
painting
that's right.
flowers.
When
And
they give you lemons, you do lemonade. That's
I was just
exactly
thinking
it.
that same thing.
and it was a meditation. And honestly, painting flowers is a meditation. It's beautiful. It's just shapes and form and little bits of color. Yeah, it's so expansive painting it because it doesn't have to have eyes. It doesn't have to look like a bear. It doesn't have to look like a horse. It doesn't have to look like a landscape. It's just little petals of
Yeah.
beautiful color. Yeah, yeah.
So you mentioned when you started yours, you would paint your background first so that you can see the shapes better?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I did. Yeah. Sometimes what I do, like with that really large one I showed you that was in the hallway, I, just to get myself flowing, okay, start with my pale yellow, go through all my pinks and into my oranges if I have them, into my magentas. And then I go, okay, but I can't see the light key. And one of the reasons why, if you use acrylic, you start with your darks first, is you set the light key. And when we get that dioxazine purple in there, then I can see how light my lights really are. So that's why I go in and do all the negative space around. It's almost like I map it out. And then I go, oh yeah, now I can see it. Now I can start to feel the value and how I need to pull apart the values more.
Yeah, it's such an interesting process. It it works.
Yeah, it does work. And you know what, Darlene? You paint in acrylic, and you know what? Sometimes I can't tell.
No, thank you.
You are an absolute beautiful painter. Like your acrylics just sing. They're
Mm.
gorgeous. I was also going to ask you, what do you use, just for Carrie, what do you use to extend your paint to keep it wet?
Yeah, I use like the glazing liquids, the gloss glazing fluid from Golden. I have used when Jen did hers. I used the retarder,
Mhm.
and I found it worked, but I kept forgetting to put a dab onto my paint type thing. So if I'm more used to the glazing. Plus, I tend to use more watered down a little bit, not to the extent that it is going to ruin the pigment, but that it moves better and it will blend in better. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Excellent. Yeah, I just wanted to pass that along to you, Carrie. We talked a little bit about that. I don't know if you have a stay wet palette or,
Yeah.
No, but I'll try the gloss. That sounds good. I
Yeah.
have just used water before.
Yeah. The secret too is that if I take some paint, then I will then take a little bit of gloss on the side. I don't mix my gloss into my paints.
Oh, okay.
Okay. It's two separate. And then I'll wipe some of that off and then I'll put her on.
Okay.
But yeah. So another way to do it would be 50-50 of GAC 100 and GAC 500. Those two mixes, half and half, will give you a lot the same as a glazing
Hmm.
liquid. Yeah. So either we'll try.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
see if, no. Just trying to see if I tapped in. Would you like me just to continue the stages? Would that be more beneficial than? I mean,
That would be great.
Yeah.
how's everybody feel about that? Helen,
That's great.
Carrie,
That's good.
because you have
Sure.
this all on video, and that way you can see a little bit of, stage 3. We'll have to do that.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna take a break for a second.
Yeah, I'll just give you a sec. Does anybody want any help before I start? Carrie, I'm seeing you're doing your background. Perfect.
Yeah, I'm just doing a little,
Yeah.
You got the juices flowing for me, so I just wanted
Excellent.
to get the easy part done first.
That sounds great. And Natasha, you've got your yellows started. Helen,
I just have my drawing. I haven't
Okay.
started painting yet.
yeah, I often wonder if, I should be mostly just demoing and then, if you have a few questions about starting, rather than have you, do that 20-25 minutes, because all of you have painted with me, so you're not beginners. You're all fairly accomplished, which is awesome. Okay, let's wait for Darlene.
Diane, sorry, I have a question.
Good.
Sorry to get hung up on like something technical here, but I noticed when you have, and I may be wrong, so sorry if I'm just wasting time here, but it looked like your palette, you had lemon yellow, Indian yellow, pink, then orange. Or what's the order you have it in? Because I didn't get a photo of it.
Orange,
Uh,
yellow, Indian yellow, orange, and then quinacridone rose.
so was it lemon yellow, Indian yellow, orange, then pink,
It
and
doesn't
then
matter.
magenta?
As
Oh,
long
it
as
doesn't
you put
matter.
it out the same every time. I tend to like kind of the yellows and oranges together. And
Yeah.
I'm in love with Opus Opera Pink because of the peonies. I will, you know what? I will put as many pinks out that I have. Like I have
Okay,
permanent rose, I have quinacridone rose, I have opera pink. I might even put alizarin crimson. So if I'm doing pink, I will put all my reds out right after in a row. And that's kind of probably why I put the orange, so that I've got room to put all my reds, and then it moves into my magentas up the side. And for me, it's just for me. So I
okay,
say that just put your paint out the same way every day, so that when you reach for it, you know where it is.
okay. I understand. Thank you. Got it.
Okay, you're welcome. Good question. And when you're painting fast and furious, you want to know where your paint is. So I think what I kind of want to do is focus more here because it's so small. Let me know if you need to see me mixing. But let's do that huge, big background. And I'm going to spotlight. Okay, spotlight everybody. There we go. Let's just do that big background. Get as close as I can. Oops, this second I'm just gonna turn it. And there we go. All right, so definitely when I get the dioxazine purple on and it's in oil, I want to address that before it dries. I really want to go in and I want to have some fun with it. And I've got to decide, where is it coolest? Where is it warmest? And, you know, it's not always easy to tell. I think up in the left-hand corner, there might be some warmth because I see a little circle on the photograph, but I'm not entirely sure. So I'm just going to go with that. I have a bigger brush. I have like a 1-inch brush that I'm going to use, and I use that basically for this, and then a little brush to kind of go around. So I'm picking up orange on my brush, and I'm just kind of going in. And there is a little bit of light here. Oh, that. Sorry, there's a little bit of glare. Tuck it in. That's better. Maybe not. And I'm also just dulling that right away by using the orange. And that just warmed up that whole corner. I'm just going to put a little bit more orange on. So this is just cad orange. Just putting back onto my palette. And then I'm going to say, okay, it seems pretty warm down here because we've got all this gorgeous Indian yellow happening. So I think I might just take some Indian yellow and just kind of work into it here. And it's really up to you how much you want to do. Just grabbing a smaller brush just to get kind of in here. There we go. So you can kind of see the warmth coming in through here. Okay, so that's probably as much as I'll do there. Then I'll go, you know, do I feel like that needs some green? Because I see this green kind of coming in through here. I don't know, it just feels like there could be some green. And I'm going to pick up, I don't know if my Viridian will do anything in here. It might not be enough. So I'm just picking up a little bit of cad green. And I'm just going to just see what that does with the purple. And I may not mix it completely in. I'll let little pieces surface here. And this is where I'm more into expression with my brush strokes. And it's sort of a crisscross that I do.
You mentioned if you don't have cad green that you could mix it using, which ones did you use? Or could you use?
I would probably try cobalt and yellow and just see what you get. It's kind of a mid green, a little bit warmer.
Okay, thanks.
And so let's just mix that up. Okay. Go. And some yellow. Oops, dirty brush. 1 sec. Just dipping into my oil. There we go. And I'm just going to take a little bit of that. Well, kind of warm. A little warmer. Oh, but let's use it because I think that might be really nice, especially right in here. Okay, so a little bit of yellow and cobalt. Yeah, it's not quite right. I'm just trying to think. Maybe it might just. Let's just try the. No. Okay, I'm just making a darker green here with the ultramarine and just putting a little bit back in here. And you can vary your brush strokes. I would definitely use a big brush. I might even use a bigger brush because my brush strokes are, you can see them. It's kind of like you're going, oh, okay, Diane, I believe that you're actually doing something, but I can't see it. Okay, so let's go up to this corner, and this corner feels more, I don't know why, but it feels more like I need magenta. I want to change it. And what I like to do is make my corners different color, and if possible, a little bit different in value. So again, I might go lighter in value in here. So let's just pick up that yellow again. Let's go just pure yellow into here. And let's just lighten this little piece in here. Just kind of change the value just a little. It's almost like we're going a little bit into stage 3. And you know what? When I start my background, I finish it. I don't like it to dry in oil. Okay, so let's look from a distance. You can see there's some little variations coming into it. And I might take that cad green again and just like really put it in and let it float a little bit on the surface. And just go, yeah, this is beautiful little area in here. And I just want it to be a little bit more special. Right in there, just right in there. Now I'm going, yeah, I think I want some more orange, and I want to, sometimes what I do is I kind of go into the little valleys, I'm going to call them valleys, and put a little burst of color that I think I see. It could be in my imagination, I'm not sure. There we go. And then just let it get darker as it goes out. Question? All right, now, how do we do this beautiful poppy? So what I see is blue is the overall theme. So we need to be using blue throughout this. And I'm just looking for the right brush. There we go. I'm just kind of going to go this little brush here. And I'm probably going to start with some of my lights and start putting in my blues. And right in through here on this yellow, really, I don't think it really matters. I might not use ultramarine, but I would probably use cerulean. Cerulean's kind of my go-to. And I already have a little bit mixed up from doing something the other day before with white in it. And I'm just going to go over it super light like a butterfly, maybe adding just a little bit more white to it. There we go. Oh, it's still too dark. There we go. See if I can just tint it. And because I did this last night, it's a tiny bit sticky today. And I'm getting dirty brush in here. So you acrylic people, you have an advantage going in and doing this. I've got purple coming in here too. So I'm just gonna leave that little mass because anyway, it's got a little tint of cerulean blue on it. And so I'm gonna probably just go in and do the same with these. Just give a little tint, but still the feeling of light. So it's beautiful having that yellow underneath. A little bit in here. Okay, so I've done all those yellows and let's look. These ones, nope. And okay, there we go. So let's do the pinks. And it's trying to think, really does look like manganese to me up top there. It's super, super warm. So I'm going to just float manganese over top, making sure I have enough white. And probably leaving a little bit of space between as I'm starting to pick up my colors, especially that purple. There we go. And did I get that value correct? Kind of. I think I got it correct. I'm just going to put in a little bit stronger. And then this one is actually a little bit lighter. So using manganese with a little bit more white, and you can just use cerulean if you don't have manganese. Here we go. So it's lighter, so I make sure my value is pretty good when I go into it. And if not, I can just take pure white right on top of it and mix it. Again, we're mixing more onto the painting than onto the palette. And a little hard to see, but there is blue in there. And it looks like I could do even a bit deeper. This one I look from a distance. There we go. This beautiful piece in through here, where the green comes through, you can just put green if you wish. So just one of my greens that's on my palette. I'm looking at it, it's pretty warm. So this would be cobalt and yellow. And just let's see what it looks like. Yeah, I think that will work. Again, in stage 2 is we are dulling the colors by putting another color on top. And what we're trying to do is look at the first color we see and put that down and trust that that is the right color. I'm going to use that same green that I just used, that I made up, cobalt and lemon yellow, and just head over here and get that piece done. And right in through here, we can try and see if that's dark enough. It's a little too warm. So heading over to this part of my palette where I made yellow and ultramarine. So beautiful kind of forest green to go over top of this. And I will put that same forest green down through here. One of my things I don't like to use, I really don't like to use green. I've just started to add it to my palette and make myself use it. Usually I just make it up, but I'm trying to fall in love with it. And you may find that there are colors that you feel that way about, and it's really great to address it. For example, if you don't like green, paint something that has all green in it, and then it will become much better for you in the future. So I have violet here. So I'm going to use the warmer green, the cobalt and the yellow. And there we go. I think it needs to be a little stronger. So going back over to the ultramarine and the yellow. And you know what? Let's just try Viridian. Let's see what Viridian's going to do on that. Makes it pretty cool, actually. It could be warmed up. So my next layer is a yellow, and I'm going to use Indian yellow to warm it up. There it is. It's probably really hard to see. So got those. Let's do this beautiful green down in here, and it's warm, so I'm going to use the cobalt and the lemon yellow and put a layer on. You might find that it might take a while to get your greens exactly how you want them. This is just first layer, and it needs to be a little darker. So just mixing it up again. And here we go. So make sure you don't lose your values in stage 2. Do another layer here. I think this is going to have a lot of layers, this little one in here. All right, moving on to, let's move on to these blues, these beautiful blues that we've got, and let's dull them. Let's dull them and make them look more like the photograph. Okay, so let's just start with the darkest one here. And when I look at it, it looks like, does it need to be warmer or cooler? Anyone?
Warmer?
Yeah, warmer. So what would you put on that to make it warmer?
Probably the cerulean to start.
Okay, yeah, cerulean would be good. If you put yellow on it to warm it up, it's going to probably go too green. We could put manganese or cerulean. I think manganese or cerulean. I'm just going to try a bit of manganese. It just might be. Yeah, there you go. Again, you have to look at it as a whole, as a mass. And try not to go, oh, okay, I need to break it up into shapes right away. That's the hardest thing with stage 2. All of you see really, really well. And that's to your detriment for stage 1 and 2. I'm just using manganese here. I'm just warming this up with a bit of manganese.
Diane, would
Yes.
you use pink at all in the blues to warm them up, or would that just take it too far away from blue?
No, that would be good too. But, you know, I'll make it more violet. So I would say right down here might be really nice,
Okay.
more violet. But I'm almost thinking now, what's the complement of blue?
Orange.
Yeah. Let's go in with some orange. Let's see what happens. Lightly, not too much, not to make it too green, but see how it warms it up?
It warmed it and graded.
Yeah. This one, I'm just trying a tiny bit of Indian yellow. Ah, the Indian yellow did some gorgeous things here. Right through here, I'm going to do Indian yellow. Let's just see what happens. So it's graying it. It's the light, it's warming it up. Wow, that's beautiful, that little piece in there. So also think about your complements and what you can do when you go across. I'm going to use either Indian yellow or orange through here. I think I'll try orange. Yeah, that was too much orange. I'm just going to go back and put a bit of blue back in. There we go. There, just beautiful. Just so here we have almost what we had there, and then tiniest little bit of orange. And see how it dulls it, softens it, pushes it back in a beautiful way. Really, really beautiful. So let's go up here, this little piece up here. Orange or Indian yellow? Okay, I'll use orange. Ah, yeah, beautiful. Just grate it gorgeously. Just beautiful. And that is how you make your grays, is you put out all your blues in a row. You add a little bit of orange to each one, add some white, pull it down so you have various values of it, and away you go. So what we're doing right now to the blues is we're actually graying them. This one is a little bit still, a little bit too intense. I used Indian on it, so now I'm going to use orange on it.
Why do we want to gray them down at this stage?
Do they look like your photograph? In stage one, does it look like your photograph?
In stage one? No.
No. So what it is in stage one is bold, it's straight out of the tube, it's wild, it's contemporary. And what we want to do is soften. And the word we use for that, Susan's word, was dull. We dull it. We slightly dull it. by
Okay.
doing it. And all you need to do is just put any color on top and it will dull a color. White also dulls beautifully. I just put orange on that one. And if you look at your photograph, to me, it's right on. So if we, with the exception of your yellows, because quite often there is a focal point and there is some yellow that does need to be fairly pure. But most of the time, you have to put another color on top. So you can kind of see, oops, things are just getting pushed back. They keep getting pushed more back and softened. And what I need to do is keep addressing the ones that are popping out. So this blue is still popping out. It hasn't had anything on it. Let's try again, a little bit of orange, just a little bit. If you use too much, it does turn either brown or green. There we go. Gorgeous, gorgeous gray. And if you gray it too much, go ahead and put your original stage one color right back on top. That's what's so beautiful about this method is if you kind of go south too fast, go ahead and, go back to stage one. So this beautiful blue back here, what do you think, what color would you put on it to dull it and push it back? Would you put orange? Would you put Indian yellow? Would you put green on it? It does have a little bit of green on it. What would you put on it to push it back? Helen.
Start with an orange.
Okay. Yeah. I would do orange too. I think I would. And those of you that have done horses with me, remember when we do the purple on the horse and then we take orange and it's almost like we cover all the purple with orange because the purple is so in your face and we need to just soften it and get it down. So that is almost too orange if I'm looking at mine. So I would probably go back in with manganese and white and just add just like a butterfly layer.
Could you use ultramarine there too?
No,
No, it's too
cool.
dark,
Too
too cool. Okay.
Yeah, I warmed it up by just putting manganese a layer on top. So quite often you go back, forth. And the order that I'm doing it in doesn't have to be your order. This is just what I'm seeing right now. And I'm also seeing that this one is a little too dull. So I'm going to go in with a very thin layer of manganese. And manganese is my warmest blue. And I'm just going to warm it up a little bit. Yeah, I do like that better. Let's look at, there's a really lovely blue up top here. And I'm going to take Darlene's suggestion and just go with a bit of orange, just see what it does. Let's just see what it does. Okay. Yep, that's nice. It feels like it needs to be darker too. Darker. Oh, that's a tough one. It's got warm and cool in it, so it'll be a really nice one in stage 3 to finally sort it out, all the little darks and all the lights. But it to me is warmer. I'm going to go over it with a bit of manganese and yellow, or manganese and white, sorry. Just make sure I correct value and just not wanting to lose the total warmth of it. Or actually what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to blast it with a bit more warmth. All right, let's look at this piece right in here. Okay, is that working? I kind of think it is. We haven't addressed this magenta over in this corner. So when you have a color there and you look at your photograph, you say, what color do I see in my photograph? And do you see a warm blue or a cool blue or a mid blue? So can I have some help here? Right where the magenta is.
I see warm blue.
Okay, so it's either cerulean or manganese. I'm trying cerulean over here. There you go. How's that? Not bad. We're getting there. This shocking blue right along the edge here. Definitely need to dull that. So I'm going to go right across the color wheel and use orange. And this is a bit tough because I've got some of my dioxazine purple coming in. Okay, so moving around, this lovely piece right in here that started as turquoise and then we did it viridian. Linda, what colors did you see in the beginning on this? You had a whole bunch of colors you saw.
Well, I see orange or Indian yellow.
Yeah, yeah, so we could do either. I'm going to try orange first. I think it's Indian yellow. It didn't really have much impact. I'm just putting out some clean Indian yellow because I'm in a mess of mine. I have the hardest times putting the caps on the tubes. Does anybody have any tips with that? Especially when you're in a hurry. You need to put those darn little caps on that are so tiny.
It can be.
Sorry?
Yeah. They have to be focused.
Yeah, and then like your fingers get
Mhm.
and you're going, oh no, was that a CAD? Oh, I've got to get it off me because that's not good to have the CADs on your skin. Super toxic. Okay, so it almost went too green, but I'm okay with that. I kind of like it. I sort of like that. And I've got little bits here, little bits of pink through here. So I need some blues and, over here, I might even pick Viridian. I'm just going to put a little bit of Viridian and see what happens. If you have Viridian, experiment with it. Think of it as a very green blue. It's a really neat, no, it doesn't need to go up there. It was good there. And okay, I'm just moving around here. Oh, I have this little edge. Looks like it could be warmed up a little bit with maybe my yellow was a little too. Just putting Indian through here. There we go. And right here have very pale blue, probably cerulean. I'm just going to finish it really fast so that we can go on right through there. I'm just going to pick a little bit of pale cerulean. Make sure it's pale enough. Just a oops. And I would be using brushes that you can kind of go in and not too big. You don't want to make a big blob. In stage 2, you want to make sure you still can separate them. If you want to leave spaces, that would be fine. But just make sure you can still separate them. And I'll go back down to this little area. Not too happy with it. I'm adding in Indian yellow here. And I'm going to add in a bit more Indian yellow over here. And I had used Indian yellow right beside it in the background. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add violet. And I have to be a bit careful because it can go brown pretty fast. And I'm just going to add tiny bit of maybe magenta in through here, just to, I don't know, what do you think, ladies? What do you think right in there, this little tiny spot? What color do you see?
Probably transitioned with the darker. So you need to go the violets now.
You would use violet?
Yeah.
I see green in there.
Yeah, I do too. I see violet, I see green, I see yellow. Let's do violet gently, just to really dull it first. All of you are right. There we go. And then I'm going to pick a green. Do you see a warm green or a cool green? Or a mid green? I sort of see a mid green. So what I'm using is cobalt and lemon yellow. And I do like to pre-mix my greens onto before I put them on. Almost like, you know, I'm taking them out of the tube. And let's just see if we put a little bit of that green over here. Just see what we get. Yeah, that's good. So thin layers, very thin layers. And just, you know, I think the hardest thing with stage 2, and I'm sure all of you are going to say this, is, oh, I just want to do all those little color nuances I see, because I see them right now. I might not see them again, but you will. There we go.
I would be very tempted at this point right now to start blending those. So,
Yeah.
but is that like stage 4, or when do you do that?
That's stage 3.
That's stage 3. Okay.
Right in through here, this green. What do we need to put on this green to make it more like the green that we see in the photograph? So we've got light coming through. We see yellow, we see green. What is the complement of, should we do a pink in here? Complement of green? Or should we keep it really transparent? Like looking, you know, it is backlit. So we have to kind of go, oops, sorry. How do we make this green work here? Any thoughts? I hear you all thinking, you know,
It's tough.
I'm gonna try
Part of
to
me wants to see pink, but then another part didn't know if that'd be too much.
Yeah, you know what I'm doing? I'm doing a little bit of white and cad green. And the cad green is, it's a beautiful green. I'm not quite sure if we can actually, I'm sure we can make it, but I haven't quite figured it out yet. It's just such a clear, beautiful green. There we go. That's better.
Mhm.
It's better. And now I think something here, this isn't dark enough. I'm gonna go my really dark green. My dark green is lemon yellow and ultramarine blue. There we go. Better. Okay, let's leave that. And we haven't done anything in the middle. And probably the middle was the trickiest. Like, well, how do you make sense of all those? There must be like 50, 60, 70 little stamens in there. Who wants to paint those? I don't. And part of it is, what is your interpretation of this flower? You know, is it that you want to paint all the little stamens? I don't think so. Okay, let's start with this one. What do you see in there that I don't have? That little piece of yellow right here, right in the middle. What does it?
Green.
Yes. And I'm going to use my cad green. I'm going to use it. Oops, way too strong. So it's going to have a little tiny bit of white in it. There we go. Ooh, better. Yeah, there it is. It might still be a little too strong. So I'm just picking up a bit of yellow and just putting yellow back on it. It's such a little piece. There we go. These Indian yellow stamens need to be dulled because they're a bit bright. This one's through here. Thoughts? Yeah, it's kind of a weird one. What about green? A little bit of green? Just to sort of. Should we see? Or do you have better suggestion?
The complement to dull it.
Yeah, you could use violet or magenta. Let's try a little bit of magenta. Yeah, that's nice. Thanks, Linda. Violet would have taken it down, I think, too much. Let's see if you guys can see that. There we go. And let's dull this screaming bright orange with,
Little purple on it.
we could go purple, yeah, or we could go violet. So
Mhm.
they're important, so I'm going to be careful. So I think I'm going to go violet first and see if that's dark enough. Yeah, it is. And always feel free to make violet and use it in stage 1 if you need to. You can make violet so many different ways. Today, what I did is just grabbed the purple and the magenta and just made a beautiful violet. Okay, and then I've got magenta up here and down here. So let's look down here first. What does it need down here?
Orange.
Yes. Yeah, the color you see. Stage 2 is quite cool. It's like you don't have to think too hard. You can pretty much paint kind of the color you see. And I will use orange up here too. Oh. And I've got this piece of magenta back here that Darlene saw as, I think, manganese blue or some kind of a blue.
Yeah.
So I think we definitely need to put blue on it. So I'll just put a little bit of manganese on it. There we go. Yeah, that did it. And then I've got just this blue here, which is the background between the stamens, and it could go Viridian. Just going to just tint it a little bit Viridian. So just remember, any color that you put on top of a mask pushes it back. And a little bit of Viridian up here too. There you go. Okay, and the only thing I haven't done, I think, I haven't done the yellow in the front. And I may put bright green there. And then bring it up with yellow later. So there's my, and I think I've got a couple little pinks along the edges here that I haven't done. And what do you see along the edges? What color? What do you see along here on the photograph? Blue. Blue should be used. Am I losing you guys? Sorry. That was just kind of tedious today. Okay, there we go. All right. So there is first once over with stage 2. And then what you want to do is you want to stand back and squint. So what we're going to do right now is we're just going to squint and we're going to look back and forth and just, you can swing your head. If you can see me in the other window, what I do is I swing my head. I take my head with my shoulders. I look, like Carrie was saying, I look at my photograph. I look at my painting and I am squinting right now and I'm just trying to see, do I need to adjust anything? So the very first thing we always think of is just anything, first of all, need to be darker.
Yes.
Good. Where, Linda?
Underneath all the orange in the middle. Yes.
Perfect. And this is, see, you don't need me. Once you start going, does anything need to be lighter or darker? You have your teacher. That is your teacher. Did I get it dark enough? No.
Mm,
I'm going to put cobalt on it next. I went cerulean, now I'm going cobalt. How's that, Linda?
That looks pretty good. It could still be a little darker, I think.
Yeah, couldn't it? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go.
So how do you turn your whole body if your picture is right beside your painting? Like it's like when you're scanning it?
Can you
Yeah.
see? Can you see me move?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if
And
your
my
picture is right,
screen is right there.
okay, but mine is like right beside.
So this is what I'm doing. I'm doing this and doing this with my head and shoulders.
Right. So if your photo is right beside your painting, you're just moving your eyes, looking back and forth.
Oh yeah, that would be fine.
Okay.
If you're out in the field, if you're out in plein air doing this
Right.
flower, you will, well, I guess usually with landscapes, we have to be a little bit more vigorous going back and forth. Probably the most important thing is that you look from one to the other and you squint. The
Yeah.
squinting is essential. Okay, any other areas that need to be darker? There is. So let's call them out.
Where the stamens come out.
yeah, at the very middle,
Oh, what is
Mhm.
it? Comes out.
behind the stamen.
Right.
To the very right of it.
Keep going.
Keep going, like right where it starts to touch the, yeah, there.
Right there.
Yeah.
Going into there.
There.
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna sock ultramarine in there. I could use purple. I'm picking my two darkest colors, ultramarine and purple. And I'm not really thinking about warm or cool. I'm just thinking, let's just make it dark. Not dark enough. Okay, let's go to purple. Your purple is like your black. It's your value 5. There we go. Dark enough?
Better.
Better.
Yeah.
Better.
Now I would,
Not good
I
enough.
would go under the stamen in that first blue that you were working on and do the purple coming away from the stamen. There.
Yeah. Okay, so here we're kind of getting into stage 3 because there's so many variations,
Yeah.
right? Okay, should we just launch into stage 3? Well, hang on, let's just go through this. So does anything, we've kind of got most of our darks. There's one more right here. I'll just put that in. I just grabbed some manganese, just any kind of blue, darken it a bit. That one needed to be a little darker.
I think the by the stem to the left of the stem needs to be darker. Yeah.
Right in there. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm gonna take ultramarine. And it wouldn't matter, it could be your purple or your, maybe I'll take a bit of, there we go. Dark enough, Linda?
Yeah. More.
More. So just so you know, my tendency is to go bright and mid-tone. I always end up putting my darks in over and over and over again. I'm just going to use Natasha as an example. Natasha does it the opposite. Natasha's is she goes really dark and really bright. And just from working with her, I know that she gets this accurate now, but has to put her lights in. So you just want to make note of your tendencies. Mine is always to be too bright, not dull enough, and not go dark enough. That has been my tendency. I love bright colors. Do I really want to make them dark? Do I really want to make them dull? No, I don't. I love them the way they are. But I know that I need to go through the process to make the painting come together as one. I hope you didn't mind me, Natasha, using you as an example.
Oh, it's great. Thanks.
And that was when we just first started painting together. Okay, so
But, sorry, Dan, the, what you just did there, and you added some ultramarine blue to it, under that, right there. Now, to me, you were saying that you have a tendency to go, too dark, but
do like,
I would say it would have to be a little darker right under that petal to
Yeah.
pop that top petal up.
yes, absolutely. So
Okay,
I will take a bit of purple. How's that?
yeah. Yeah, and that just brings the other one forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
Beautiful. And so this one has about 3 different colors in it. I'm not going to do anything till stage 3. Is this dark enough? When I squint, it could be darker. So I'm going to add a little bit of purple to it. I'm just looking at my time. I have 20 minutes left. And I want to show you some stage 3. Okay, so we make sure your lights and darks are good before you move on. Could be a little darker right in here. I'm going to put violet. I still see that as too light. I'm just going to put a bit of dark there. This could be darker through here. I'm going to put violet on top of it. We started with orange, or started with magenta, went orange, and now I'm going violet. So just darken that in there. And this probably could go a little darker, just throwing a little bit of violet on it there. And then you just kind of moving around. This could be darker up here, right up there. I'm going to, I'm going to grab cobalt. So most important thing in stage 2, make sure you don't lose your darks or your lights. Okay, so I'm squinting, going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. This is too light here. And I'm just going to add purple to it. Oh, and probably could go one more layer. And when I put the layers on, I'm careful. I'm really careful. You know, I don't want to have to bring it back to stage 1 if I can be more sensitive with my brush. Okay, I'm just wondering if this is too bright, but it could also be my skylight is just right above. So I'm squinting, looking in at those petals. This one here could have a little bit more, but I'm not sure. But I think when we start breaking it up into our stage 3, it will work better. And then we go, does anything need to be warmer? And I'm just going to leave that because I think it's pretty good. Does anything need to be cooler? This little piece right in here. Just going to take my favorite cerulean and just cool it down. Cerulean is a warm blue, but it's cooler than manganese and it's cooler than green. There we go. So cooled that down. And let's just go to the last category. Does anything need to be brighter? I'm just telling you my tendency, probably not. Maybe this little edge here, but I'm going to be careful with that because I don't want that to be the star of the show. I want this to be. So even though this edge has got some really bright yellows in it, I may not put that in at the end because I want my eye to go here, not at the edge of the painting. Does anything need to be duller? I would say this little area in here needs to be duller.
Mhm.
And so we've got quite a few layers on that. So I think I'm just going to go right to purple and dull it. Yeah. Maybe I'm going to go to blue. That's a tiny bit of blue. There we go. And it was little. I'm almost like scratching it on.
And even the magenta on the top of the stamen could be knocked back.
Yeah, it could. So when you don't have, when we're not in class and we're not critiquing, just go through that light, dark, warm, cool, bright, dull before you move on to your next stage. And it will just make things simpler for your next stage. You don't have to correct as much. So how do we feel about stage 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's good. It's good to see, resisting the temptation to
yes.
get more going. So
This is why I really don't show you stage 3 because none of you need to know it.
No, we need to see stage 3.
So, in stage, I think you know exactly what you're going to do in stage 3.
Yeah.
You're all chomping at the bit to do it. There's just little nuances everywhere. So let's just look at this little shape right here. Okay, so I see ultramarine right here. I'm just putting pure ultramarine right on top here. It's a little darker and it's duller and cooler blue. There we go. So there's a little variation, but it still holds together when you squint. It wasn't a huge variation. Let's just go to this beautiful piece here that Linda saw all the colors on. And let's pick Indian yellow. And let's just put some oh, no, it might just be yellow first. Making yellow is so dirty. I'm just mixing lemon yellow and just a little bit of white because it's going to be too transparent just going on. There we go. Sometimes when it's too transparent, just add just a little bit of white to it. There we go. So there's a little variance starting and it goes kind of here too. And then what do I see? Oh, I see some absolute white right in here. And you can decide, like, do you want to put these little things in now? Are these stage 4? That little bit of light that I just put in? Yeah, you can do it. You'll be fine. And then right over here, it seems lighter. So I'm just going to put a little white. So what we're doing is we're pulling apart the little pieces of color. And then can I go any closer? Let's just see if I can get closer. You can just see little variances. That's all stage 3 is. But let's try not to make it so different in value that when you squint, it becomes a whole, it becomes like 5 different separate masses. Want it to really stay as one mass if you can. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So would it be good to just, we've got 10 minutes left, just to have a few questions, and probably I'll just unpin this and just have everybody have a little say at the end. Yeah, Helen, I'll start with you first.
About what I experienced today, learning.
Oh, and just anything you want to say at the end.
Oh, well, I was really appreciative of seeing, I don't know, because well, like you say, I can tend to be overwhelmed at first. Like the texture of the petals is really intense to me and things and all the nuances that creates. So it was good. So that's what I mean. Sometimes I just get that overwhelm in the beginning, but I liked seeing you dull the blues like you did, because I don't, like that wasn't my impulse, but it really needs to happen. And then I just feel like I'm starting all over again, which is a little surprising, but it is a very complicated image, form in reality. There is a lot going on. So it was helpful to see I think the dulling and how powerful that is in setting the form through color.
Yeah, thank you, Helen. Even though it's so simple, it's such a beautiful, elegant little flower. There's a lot in that flower that it has to say, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you're painting, the other thing, besides thinking of it as little bits of color, just butting up against little bits of color, think of what's the energy of the flower? What is it saying to you? And you've all painted animals. There is a beautiful energy that comes through with the animals. There is with the flowers too. So what is it trying to say to you? Just think of that beautiful energy too as you go through. Darlene.
Yeah, let's see. I find it hard, like with the petal on the bottom of below the stamen.
Mhm.
You put that in a yellow, and then you dulled it with some probably some cerulean or something. But to me, it still reads white. Too much white, just reads really white.
Yeah.
So
Let me just see. Let me see if you can. It's
yeah,
actually quite dirty.
so you really need to start blending down from that under the stamen where you have the little greeny blue color,
Yeah, right.
and slowly bringing that down, but not losing the light of the petal.
Yes.
Yeah, but to me it just reads white, and so it needs toning down.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep. Perfect. I'm a little careful with my yellow lights, then I don't dirty them too fast. Otherwise, in oil, it's a little different in acrylic, more forgiving in acrylic. I have to scrape it and start over.
Yeah.
If I'm working wet on wet and I want to dull those areas, I have to go in so careful. And that's where having a palette knife with Susan was amazing. Even though I hate palette knives, it's amazing.
And for me, it would be working with acrylics. If I start losing that yellow too much, then I'll bring back my white a bit, put my yellows in, and then kind of just reiterate the whole thing again.
Right, go back to stage one.
Yeah, and then bring it all back, but slowly blending that white out of there.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, and one thing that screams is that big area right in there. It's like, whoa, whoa.
Yeah, too much, it
Yeah.
just draws you right there. The same with the petal at the end of the stamen, you're gonna have to do
Yeah,
pretty well that same thing again, yeah.
yeah, right in there. Yeah, yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Yeah, go carefully. Go very
Yes,
gently,
yeah, exactly.
carefully, like whisper as you go in and be a butterfly with your
yeah.
brush. And make sure your
Pressure out,
brush is clean, and you know, you've only got one color on it. You're not picking up the purple from the background. That's why I was being very gentle with it. Yeah, really good point. Thank you.
super. Oh, okay.
Awesome. Carrie.
Oh, I really appreciated hearing your think alouds and hearing how you think as you work. So appreciate that.
Mhm.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm so excited that you're painting again, Carrie. And I see you've got your purple background in. Yay! And Carrie, you can work dark to light. You don't have to
Okay.
work light to dark, although the video will show light. You can work any way you want. You have got your dark in now, so should be good to go.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks. So what is the expectation are we working on this again for the next session, or will it be another new one?
New one. I know it's a little bit fast and furious, but I really want to give you experience with different colors, and you don't have to finish this. I'm asking you really only to go to stage 2, and then, you know, if you want to finish it at your leisure, put it on your wall because they are beautiful little gems. You're more than welcome to. But do email me back and forth during the week. I would like everyone's stage 1 to be emailed, you know, so they clearly know what stage 1 is, clearly your stage 2. And then if you want to go further, you know, you're welcome to. And we email through the group so everyone can learn from everyone's paintings. So, you know, I'll email you mine, and then you can have a tag to tag everybody.
Mhm.
And then I'll help you a bit critiquing. Yes, darling.
Sorry, I was gonna ask Carrie, you working in acrylic or oil?
Yes, acrylic.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay.
Um,
It's trickier, but it's doable.
Darlene has absolutely gorgeous paintings in acrylic that make me go, oh, maybe she is trying oil.
Not yet, no.
So way to go, Darlene. I think you have a way harder job than all of us. So
Well,
yeah.
but I enjoy it, that the blending and the dry brushing and all of that, it works.
Awesome.
You can get there.
Linda.
Oh, well, my head hurts a little bit today. It was a lot to take in. I appreciated seeing stage 1 and 2 together. And I'd even like to see more of stage 3, because I feel like, you know, if we just do stage 1 and 2, I never really know how to finish anything. I don't know how to go in and do stage 3.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm glad that you do pictures and stuff, because that does help.
Yeah, I would say in stage 3, in one mass, try not to break it up more than 3 different individual things in stage 3. It'll be hard to hold yourself back, but if you have a big mass, only do 3 changes at the most. Okay.
Okay.
It's a really good discipline for stage 3. So think 3 masses. That's it. That's all. Every little mass on our beautiful poppy, only do 3 max. You might only have to do 2 in some of the masses because they're so small, but there is a difference.
Yeah.
And yes, I can go in and do it, but Linda, I think you know how to do it. Just try to refrain yourself from going too fast.
Okay.
Just savor it. Just, it's a meditation. Oh, I have to look for 2 to 3 masses in each mass, have to make 2 to 3 little differences in color and maybe slightly in value.
Mhm.
Okay. So
All
the piece that Darlene was talking about underneath,
right here.
yeah. So you're just gonna go over that with a light layer of a blue, like a cerulean blue? Is that what you're doing in stage 3 with that part?
What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the petal and I'm going to see from left to right where the changes are.
Yeah.
And I'm also going to look from top to bottom. So that's probably something we should write out and put on the top of our easel. From left to right in stage 3, there is a change in color and a change in value from left to right.
Okay.
Also, there's a change from top to bottom in value and color.
Yeah.
That's all stage 3 is look for those changes. Remember we're doing the bowls? And as you go around the rim of the bowl, changes in color, changes in value. And then I showed you the Wayne Thiebaud cakes and his plates, how the plates change color as they go around. So think of that image for stage 3. And I always go left to right or right to left, change in color, value, top to bottom. And if you look at an object in your house, it's easier to see things in light. You will see a change from left to right. And it will change in color too. And the more you expand your color acuity, the easier it'll be to see stage 3.
Okay, so stage 3 is adjusting. Stage 2 is the biggest,
Yes.
biggest painting, right? Difference. And then you're just adjusting some values. And then stage 4, after it dries, you're doing dry brush blending.
Yeah, stage 4, I will probably just focus a little bit on here. I don't do stage 4 everywhere. I do stage 4, the center point of interest. And in the horses, it will, if they have 2 ears, it'll be the ear that's nearest me will have the stage 4. It
Okay.
will probably be the muzzle. And of course, if there's 2 eyes, this one more detail, this one less.
Yeah.
So
So it's adjusting the detail at that
yes.
point.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay, that helps a lot. Thank you.
you're welcome. And I will take lots and lots and lots and lots of photographs as I finish it.
Yeah, that's really helpful.
I'll get to a place, and you will too, where it's a skating rink. And that's where you acrylic girls can keep going. And us oil girls have to go, oh, we have to wait a day or 2 for it to set. And when you go to do your detail, I always let it dry before I go in and do all the stage 4. I usually can't get the stage 4 wet on wet unless it's a landscape and it's freer or it's really big that I can, but not these little peaky ones.
Okay.
But these beautiful little jumps.
Yeah. And for me, it's like also if I put some color down and then I want to start blending that area out, you have to be careful of it muddying up. So then I will dry it and bring it a bit more and a bit more and a bit more.
Yeah.
And work it
Nice.
that way, because if I do it wet on wet totally, sometimes it will muddy. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why Susan had us work in oil with a
Yeah.
palette knife, because you can layer without disturbing underneath. You can put with a palette knife, you put 20 layers on and keep going. You don't have to stop. Her small ones are all done in like 2 hours.
And with the glazing liquids, you have to ensure that the bottom layer is dry before you glaze, say, your blue on or your purple on to a yellow and that type of thing, because otherwise, again, it will muddy up. But then you're keeping pure color and then pure color of the next color type thing.
Yeah, almost like you've got an ice layer in between or a glass layer between.
And it looks like a stained glass up there.
Beautiful. Thank you. Natasha, I was going to call you back here, girl.
Well, I really enjoy watching your brush strokes, so I could just sit there and see how you do the little X's because it's really foreign to me. I'm not used to painting in that way.
Oh, Natasha. That's
Wow.
What happened?
You just show us
You
again.
showed us your painting.
Yeah, you just
Oh.
flashed your painting to us. It was
I think
Did
it's
I?
your profile painting for your
yeah,
page.
that was beautiful. We just got this little like
There it is. Oh, it's gorgeous. Yeah. Love the color.
Okay.
that was nice. You
Sorry.
woke us all up.
You're teasing us.
I was trying to zoom. I like to see all the people's faces, and I was just trying to see if I could swipe left or right to see everyone's faces. Now I got it. Okay, I found it. Okay, so just to finish off, I actually would like to see you paint more stage 3 too, just because I get so much out of just like watching you actually physically do the brush strokes. And then there's that stamen bit. It's like such a complex thing to me. I look at that and I'm like, I don't know if I'd be painting that green's central node underneath the orange puffs, or if I'm just painting the orange puffs. It's just that's like something that really like wrangles my brain. And so if I were to watch you do it, it'd be like a shortcut to. I mean, I could for sure figure it out after lots of trial and error, but then just watching you do it is like kind of a little cheat, and I'm paying money for it. So
So what I'll do is every few minutes I'll take a photo when I do that part. Okay, so you'll get
yeah.
these little. How's that?
Mhm.
And would you like me next time to have done my whole stage 1 and we'll just do stage 2 and 3?
I mean, I'm sorry, I would like that because I've gone through your stage 1 and 2 enough times in class. So that's
Okay.
me, but of course everyone else might be at a different level of experience. So that's that.
Just
One
that.
sorry, Natasha, one suggestion maybe, Diane, is if you have a stage 1 you're working on, and then you complete that, but you have another stage 1 right there, and then put your 2 on top, so that we see the colors of stage 1 partial. And then the second is you're doing the second one right into stage 2, then right into stage 3.
You want me to do 2 paintings?
Yeah, like it might be helpful because I mean I still want to see what you did in stage 1.
Right.
Right. And then when that's in my head enough that I can go do my stage 1, but now you are working stage 2 in part of it, and then you could even work stage 3 in another part or something.
Okay, I don't know if I can do that. I just don't know if I have time. I'm sorry.
You can,
Oh,
oh,
no, it's
Um,
okay. It's just a thought.
you can
But
take a picture of it. Once you do your
Yeah.
stage 1, take a picture and then we can keep that picture
Yeah.
aside and then keep referring to
that's
it.
what I'll do. That sounds good.
Yeah.
So here's your assignment for next week. Can everyone see it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I had showed you my puddle painting just at the very beginning, and I'm just taking a little piece of a hydrangea, and it's got beautiful negative shapes in the background. It's got some really nice dark shapes that you can paint purple. And the middle of it is just so gorgeous the way the petals kind of flop over. And I'm going to ask you to all the pinks that you have, all the reds that you have, to break them out and bring them, to this project. You can do it with the colors that I have listed, but it's always fun to have a few more. And so here's what I propose to do is, okay, I will send you my charcoal drawing right away, so you can kind of see how I've broken it up, simple, and it will give you lots of time to play for the next week. Then what I will do is I will start the process of stage 1 with the super easy parts and take photos.
Mm.
And then I will send all of that to you before next week. I'll go as far as I think I should in stage 1, because there could be some really great learning things that I want to do together. There's something about doing it together it's more important that we do some of stage 1 and 2 together than we learn stage 3 at this point.
Okay.
But I totally get what you're saying for the stage 3. So what I will do this week with the blue poppy is just every few minutes take photos and send you this lovely little slideshow so that you can really see how I develop it.
Are you able to record stage 3 instead of taking the picture? Or is that, I don't know how the
I guess I could. I would just have to Zoom myself. And would you rather have that? Would that sort of clear everything up if I just did another video for you?
I was gonna suggest it too, or at
Yeah.
least for the stamen, like maybe a short 15-minute, not like a super long one.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
Or even, like you mentioned, a little video on stage 3 would be great too, as well as your pictures, of course.
Well, I think if you do a video of stage 3, you don't need to stop and take pictures then.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think the video is good.
Okay,
And then we can pause it when you get to the detail on this, whatever they're called.
Great. yeah. No,
But
that
then we
sounds
see the
good.
whole process, right? And we could stop it when we needed to
Perfect.
see it more.
Mhm.
Okay, sounds good. All right, awesome. Thank you for
Can I ask
the
one last thing?
feedback and showing
Sorry.
up on Saturday, and happy painting. I can't wait to see your stage 1s.
Thanks for all you
Diane,
do, Diane. It's a really nice good class.
can I ask one more
Yeah,
thing,
very
Diane?
clever.
Of course you can.
The image, the reference photo for the second painting, am I right in thinking that there's a lot more light than shadow in that one?
Yes, you are.
Okay, good. Okay, just checking. Thanks.
But there's some pretty amazing negative spaces in the background. Just, yeah, kind of holding it all together, which makes it exciting, which is why I picked it.
Okay, good.
All right.
Thanks. Thanks for
All right.
class.
We will
Thank
see you in email.
Okay.
Great class, thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Diane.